あれですよね。もう全然。そうですよね。
Company briefly?
Right, yes. So Validity Labs was founded in 2015. And we basically started off with education. So answering the question, what is blockchain and how does it really work? You know, what is a smart contract and how does a smart contract work? And then over the time, we sort of been giving a lot of workshops for enterprise great companies, mainly in Europe, Switzerland, but also in China. And then was very often the question like, okay, how do we build stuff? And even we have workshops where we basically train developers hardcore in like, how do you program smart contracts in Solidity? It wasn't really enough. They were impatient and wanted to build something rather quick. So we started building blockchain platforms for companies. We started that in around 2016, the first time with a big insurance company, and then it moved into other industries. I think we have built now about 20 different platforms in different industries, and since 2017, sort of like the hype of ICOs really started to getting across Crypto Valley as well. And we had many requests to write smart contracts for the fundraisers. We've been asked to do many security code audits. So this is like where we then started to do a lot of technical stuff and sort of morphed into like a technical center for blockchain requests. And I think ever since this has been actually shifted in that direction. So today we mainly build platforms. We also have started end of last year to build our own product. So we built a tooling system for KYC providers. So KYC, an important part in transactions for the investors on TGEs or ICOs, as you call them. And we have built the interface between KYC providers like ID Now in Germany. It's a big KYC provider who is FINMA compliant, and obviously the customer who is then having the investors coming on board. So apart from building our own product, building blockchain platforms, doing smart contract security code audits, we do still do education. We still train developers from other companies. We train lawyers in the whole understanding of what the technology, what the token economics can do, how that all works and fit together with the legal system. And we do a lot of academic education as well. So we have a couple of nonprofits that we run on the side. One is called BIOTS.
BIOTS?
Yeah, BIOTS.org. It's basically an education program for students. So for 1 week, we go at a given university and we train up to 250, 300 students in these technologies. Check it out on the website. There will be lots of videos released. We had months ago the last BIOTS at ETH Zurich, which is a pretty big university. And we had, I think we had students originated from over 27 countries, and they learned in 1 week about IoT, AI, blockchain in the different technologies they are basically.
How did you start to like make partnership with the Zurich College?
So that was actually a funny story. It was actually a DEF CON 1, where we basically announced that we started Validity Labs. We met somebody from ETH Zurich, and he said, I was actually asking people if they were interested in doing education, academic education. in Switzerland, in Zurich, or somewhere around. And by coincidence, somebody from the ETH actually came to us and said, "Hey, this sounds really good. Let's talk." And from this first initial talk, basically a partnership has formed. And now since 2016, we started the first buyouts. We basically run this program at ETH Zurich, but it's not limited to that only to one university. We are happy to do this at any university in the world.
I see. So how many projects are you working at this moment?
So I think we have in total at the moment at somewhere over 30 projects. At any given time, we work on 4 to 5 projects in parallel.
I see.
We have about 18 people now.
I see. And what have you done before you start this Validity Labs?
Before I started Validity Labs, actually in 2011 I started a mining company. So I was running a mining company from 2012 to 2014 in Switzerland. It was one of the larger mining companies in Europe. But I wasn't, it was something I did because I was very curious about how the technology works. I was very curious about the fact that how can I actually create money out of nothing, the whole mining concept. And it was fascinating to me. And then being an engineer and being a geek, I was like, I played around with like a couple of graphics cards, and then, it was 10, 20, 100 graphics card, 200, 300. And it was just fascinating how this whole concept worked for me. And then also when the first ASIC miner came out, like I had to play with them. I had to try it out and see how it works. So I was very curious. It was not so much that I had a financial incentive doing it, but I wanted to learn. And so this was something which I did before that. And so in my old life, I am actually an electronic engineer. I have worked in software since '96, mainly in the banking industry or finance industry a lot. I have worked in many top 500 companies, IBM, Pfizer, pharmacy a lot as well, where I did consulting for middleware software, like message brokering and things like that. Yeah.
I see. And you are the co-founder of Validity Labs, right?
Yes.
So do you have a partner or?
Yes, my partner, Dr. Sebastian Bürgel. We both met at DEF CON, and that's where we decided we're going to start Validity Labs.
Okay. And right now, how many people work with you?
We are 18.
18.
Yeah, we're growing currently at least one person a month.
I see. And and why do you focus on the smart contract?
Why? It's fascinating. Smart contracts actually brought a paradigm shift into our world. Considering that you have programs that actually are capable of holding financial assets. It's something that hasn't been there in that. The fact that accounting has been working in a way that people has been able to transact between people financially, companies between companies. But now we come to a stage where the programs can interface between people between programs, companies between programs, and programs between companies. But even more amazing, the fact that programs can interface between programs. And I think this was one of the very fascinating factors for me to actually look more deeper into this. What is this technology? And we started, from day one, we already knew about Ethereum. So we were also very curious about the technology, what it brings and what capability it has. And it is an amazing and fascinating space to be in.
And how do you see the scalability issue of Ethereum right now?
I mean, you have to understand that this is a very, very young technology. So 2015, it's like not even 3 years old, and they have a lot of challenges they will need to overcome. Of course, they have a fantastic team, and the community is massively big and growing. I think there's quite a few things they haven't been predicting or thinking of, that, something like CryptoKitten comes along, that clogs up the system, that ICOs come along. I don't think anybody really thought that, somebody is going to do this on the Ethereum network in that scale. I do see they have a few challenges at the moment on scalability, but they're working on it, with sharding as one of the solutions. So I do think that in due time they will solve these issues. There's many projects around that. They're trying to build on top of Ethereum, also doing that. And I think it's going to be interesting what possibilities come along when they solve this. But it will definitely going to be happen. You just have to give it time. I mean, like, think about it back, like the internet. The internet, when it was first introduced, and I think if you compare Ethereum to the internet, we are somewhere in 1975, 1976, right? So very, very early stages, and it just needs time. And we have a massive community and people working on this problems, and it will be solved.
I see. So, like, how do you think the world? How many years it's gonna take to, like, the blockchain technology is gonna be like usual?
I think actually we're going to see it rather quick. So in time scale from 5 to 8 years, I believe we're going to see some very strong improvements, and we will see that specifically Ethereum, the way it's working at this current speed. And so what we see is that the amount of big corporations that are actually building and using Ethereum, and when they come to us and say, we want to build this and that, they say, we want to build a product that is in a time scale of 10 to 20 years. So they're already thinking ahead along, right? They don't build stuff just like for the sake of trying. So I do think that in 5 to 8 years, we will see Ethereum being one of the main technologies out there that is being used, like when we talk today about, I don't know, Oracle for databases, right? So I do believe that within that time frame, we have solved a lot of issues, and this will be a default software and platform to be used.
And as a CEO and co-founder of Validity Labs, what's your future dream?
So we actually started something new this year. We founding Validity Research. What we are doing is we want to go into the research, and we will have a conference at the end of the year. I think it's from the 17th to the 21st of September in Davos. And what we're doing is we want to basically help researchers from all around the world, research from any industry, understand the potential of this technology. And we believe that something that we came up with last year in ourselves, so we built a small platform where we basically call it collaborative research for science. We want to basically use this technology in science to improve and enhance the possibility how researchers can help the world finding solutions for problems, in a collaborative manner, like using these technology, decentralized platforms to enable people from all over the world come together and work on common problems to find solutions. So I do believe that in research and science, there's a big case.
Do you know any other interesting conference?
If we do any other interesting conference. So no, at the moment I'm not a big fan of all these conferences. They're out there. There's many people that are just using it as a sales gimmick to lure people into places and talk about whatever. We want to focus on real things. So at the moment, the only conference that we do is it's called BSCR. That's the Blockchain for Science and Collaborative Research, and will be happening in September this year. And the idea here is really that we teach we teach researchers from different industries about these technologies, and we basically put them in a room and say, look guys, here's the problems. Here we have verticals like mobility, we have verticals like healthcare and energy, and we have problems there. Let's try and find a solution. For example, we obviously would like to see, this would be a dream, if we have people like people from SpaceX coming, right? And they trying to see how this technology in some way, or the amount of technologies, I'm not just talking about Ethereum, but there's many technologies around the whole blockchain space that maybe can somehow enhance the possibility where this group comes together and then refines a new way of engines. In some way they can be reused or whatever, like, for rocket science. So, we have no idea what possibilities are out there. We have talked to many researchers from many different industries already, and they find it very fascinating, the possibilities. And I think it would be great to see what comes out of it. So we want to just lay down the tools, and we hope that these people use them, and somehow this will be a massive impact for them, to help them in the future to define something new and help people, basically.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing an interesting story. And lastly, we Studio C wants to expand our media from here after. So I would appreciate if you could introduce someone, interesting person like you.
Sure.
Is it possible?
Yeah, of course. We're happy to do that.
Okay. So we will send a message later.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
So thank you so much for taking time such an early morning.
No problem. Thank you.
Do you have any questions to us?
Will you send me wherever you release this information, or?
Yeah. We will let you know, of course.
Okay, cool. No, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay.
Take
Have
care.
a great day. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.